This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, this is Brent over at TelephoNET. We're here to do a training video for everyone over at the Republic. This is Tony, our go-to guy over at Goto. He's going to walk you through all the steps of how to do your UCAS environment. Tony?
All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen here, and I'm going to pull up uh, this is kind of your main user interface. We call this a soft phone. So on the soft phone is where you're going to be able to make and receive phone calls. So um, right over here is where your dialer is. So if you want to make a phone call and just dial a phone number like you normally would, you'd go like this and just type in the numbers just like that. You can obviously do it on your keyboard as well. And then you've also got your company directory. So you can have obviously your own company directory, but if you want to add anyone else to your directory, I'll show you an example. This is my cell phone, and so I added that as a personal contact, so that's only showing up for me. I can mark it as shared so that other people can see it, but for now I'm just have it as in my own personal contacts, and you can see I can make a phone call, and I dial that. I'm making the phone call from my computer. It's going to be running over my uh, headset like this, and you can see it's ringing to my cell phone right there. Once I am connected, then I have these different call options where I can add another person into the call by clicking that add button. I can transfer the call to somebody else. I could even park the call and tell somebody else, hey, you've got a call on line 3 if you want to do something like that. But very easy to use. I mean, really simple user interface and everything that you would expect. If I'm transferring it to somebody, I again can type in a phone number, or I can look through my company directory and I could find somebody that I want to send that to. And I can say I want to do a direct transfer, which means I just send the call to them and I off the call, or I can do a warm transfer, which means they answer and just I am talking to them and tell them, hey, I've got so and so on the line, and then I can complete the transfer, or I can just send it straight to their voicemail if I know they're busy and don't want to bother them at that time. So those are the basic call controls. And again, once you open your soft phone, by default, you're going to be right here on this tab, which is phone. But if you ever want to make a phone call, you just come right back here to phone, and then you can see your calls or your voicemails or your faxes. So just click on this dial button to pull up this dial pad. I'm going to hang that up right there. And then, of course, you've got your recent calls. If you missed a call, you want to call somebody back, you can do that. Next, we've got our messaging. And our messaging here is SMS text messaging. So again, if I want to text to something like my cell phone, I could just come right here. This has my call history as well as my text history. And if I want to send a text message, I just type it right here and then I click send. And it's going to send that message. I'm going to get it on my mobile and can text back and forth that way. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is we'll spend probably the most time on this, which is a meeting. So this is video conferencing. Just if you want to have up to 250 people on a video conference, this is where you would set that up. So I can do a couple things right here. I can come here and I can just launch a meeting right here on the spot, or I see I got this drop down. I just say instant meeting. If I click on that, then that would pop up a meeting. Obviously, I'm in a meeting right now recording this video, so I don't want to end this recording. So I'll click cancel, but that's how you would start just a meeting right there on the spot. You need to hop into a video call, you create that, send out the link. You can also create, and when you create a meeting, you've got some additional options. So first thing is you can have a custom URL. So this one right here is the main URL that I use for all my meetings. When I send out a calendar invite, I just always use this URL and send it out for meetings all the time. Now, if I've got back-to-back meetings where I know somebody's about to join a meeting, then I will just lock the meeting. because I know that, hey, the next people that are going to join on that same link. Um, so I lock the meeting. But another way to do that is each time you create a meeting, you can create a unique link just for that meeting, and it's only for that meeting. And so when other people start to join your next meeting, they're joining in another meeting room, and then you can end that meeting and join that next one. So I just want you to know that option. But I want to show you what kind of options that you have as well. If it's going to show me, let me see all the options because I'm in a meeting right now. As you can see, it can tell that I'm in this meeting. So I want to see if I can see and access all the options. And I might not be able to in my main meeting. So I'll just create a new one just so you guys can see what kind of options there are. So first thing is I can give the meeting a title. I'll call it my Monday meeting. I can make it just be a one-time meeting, or I can have it be recurring. If I want something to be every Monday at the same exact time, then I can actually send it out that way. So this is a one-time meeting, or if I want to be able to reuse that, then I can do that and keep it. And then I've got these additional options down here. So this is depending on what type of options are most important to you. You can have end-to-end encryption. And if you do that, then there are a few limitations that these things can't be an option for that, like long distance call-in numbers, the call me feature, things like that, because that's not compatible with a encrypted meeting. So if you want to encrypt your meetings and have them that high security, then you can, but there will be a couple of limitations. Like again, this example, attendees can't start the meeting without you. You obviously wouldn't want that on an encrypted meeting. Um, a few
No,
other,
you would not.
yeah, a few other options here is things like remote control request. You probably would generally want that off, but if you ever wanted to use this video conferencing as a way to help somebody fix their computer, then you can actually take over their screen and their mouse and keyboard. But by default, I'm not going to have that option even on there. Um, Security, you can have it so that every meeting requires a password and you send that password out. Again, there's the option to lock the meeting so nobody can get in no matter what. There's also the option for a password, and you can select that on your personal meeting room. And then you've got your audio options of how you want them to be able to join the meeting, and you can edit those and select if you want long distance or not, if you want toll free or not. You'd probably not want to give them the toll free number because then you're paying per minute. So you turn something like that on or turn that off. And then save those settings, and then you've got your meeting room. And again, you can pick a specific date and time of when that's going to happen, or you can just say, hey, I want it to repeat, just like this custom one that I have right here. After you've created that, you can go in and adjust the settings. Again, I'm not able to show you that only because my meeting is currently running. And so the system can tell this meeting's going. So I can't see my settings, but normally you'd be able to click on the meeting and go and change any of those settings if you want to choose different settings at a different time. So when the time comes to join your meeting, it's actually very, very simple. What you would do is just come into your calendar invite and you click on the meeting link. Since it's you and you're logged in, I have mine set up to automatically launch. And so I've got a pop-up that you're not seeing, but it pops up this pop-up and it just put me basically back into this meeting. It just brought this meeting back up. But if I didn't have this meeting already running, that's what would launch this meeting, is just clicking that. So really, really simple to join your meeting. You can also do it, of course, from inside your soft phone. If I can find my way back there. Now, as you can see, I'm in browser right now to do this, but you can also download the application and it's going to look the exact same. But if you want to, you can see right here, this little link popped up, start this meeting. Again, of course, this meeting's already running, but if you just want to start a meeting, that's how you could do it as well. So you can either just click on the link from your own calendar invite, or you can come in here and click start the meeting. So that being said, there's a calendar integration. So I can see right here all the meetings that are on my calendar that have go-to meeting links in it, and I can see them right here. So I could click on any one of these and I can join this meeting. You can see I've got this meeting for later today, and I could click that join button when I'm ready to join the meeting. So again, I can, from my calendar link, join a meeting like this, click on that link, or from my soft phone, I can click the join button on any of the events. So now I'm going to come back to my calendar. And again, assuming you've got a calendar integration, this is how it would work inside of Outlook. If you're using something different like Google Calendars, it's going to work very, very similar. So let's say I want to schedule a meeting for, I look at my calendar, okay, I'm pretty busy this week. Let's go for Friday. I've got some opening. So I want to schedule a meeting for Friday. I would just go like I'm scheduling a normal meeting. The nice thing about this is it's going to be really easy to invite everyone that you want. You've got your, obviously, your own directory, and you can also create a distribution list within your email provider that could have 200 people on. So you just add one email address and boom, it sends out to 200 people. But you would add some, whoever you want to invite there. I'll just throw in a couple people as an example. I give it a meeting title. Not super creative with my meeting title, so I'll just call it Friday meetings. It's on a Friday. And then right here, you've got this little plugin, Goto for Outlook. And I'm going to say I want to add my personal meeting, means that one that I have that's that unique URL that I showed you, that's Goto Tony. But I'm going to click this one right here that pulls up the integration because that will give me some more options. So I can do, again, my main meeting room, and I can click use this room, and it will just, boom, put all of that information in there. Or you can say create a new meeting. And again, the reason for creating a new meeting each time is just if you want to have a unique URL that's just for that meeting only. Nobody else, at no other time will that URL work. And once you're done with that meeting, it's done. You can see it, put it in here, and it's going to be just a really generic looking link right here. But all I did was click that, and it automatically put all of that in here. So it put it right here on the location of the meeting, but then it also added all of these notes here, which again, you probably won't have all of these, international numbers because you're going to pay per minute on those, and that's, I don't think it's something that is important to you. So by default, you probably won't have these enabled. So it will just say, hey, here's the link. You can call in. Here's the phone number. Here's the access code. And then it's going to have like some, little instructions right here, including, hey, if it is your first time for GoTo, here's how to download the app ahead of time. Now, if somebody does not have the app, and they've never used GoTo, and they just click this link, it'll let them download it at that time. It'll just take them maybe an extra minute or two to join the meeting, but it'll be a really easy, natural process for them. And that's it. So that's, I mean, the really simple basics of it, of creating a meeting. And then once you're in an actual meeting, then you've got a few options that are pretty self-explanatory, where you can change your settings. You can choose to show your video or not show your video, show your, mute your microphone. You can record the meeting. All of that's going to be on the meeting interface, which you're not able to see on my screen right now. And let me just try one thing, see if it's possible for me to share this.
So far, everything looks very simple to use.
Yeah,
Like
it
everything's
is.
in one place.
It is very simple to use, and I'm gonna see if this will show my go-to interface. All right, it looks like you can see that, right?
I see
So you
me.
see, and you've got that infinite video effect where it just keeps getting smaller and smaller there. But I wanted to be able to show this real quick. so that again, normally this is not by default, this is not going to show up. If I click share my screen and I'm trying to show something on my screen, by default this will be hidden. I clicked a button to make sure to show this because I'm demoing this video interface. But a couple things. The first thing that I think is probably the most important for you to know of is this little settings icon up here in the corner. You click on that and you've got your audio options. So that's the first and most important one. So I'm on my computer, but the thing about a computer is I've got all these different audio options on my computer. So I've got my built-in computer speakers right here. This audio right here, that is basically my monitor. Now, my monitor doesn't have a microphone or a speaker, but some monitors do. And so it recognizes, hey, there's a monitor attached here. So do you want to use that monitor? If I by default, if I join a meeting and my monitor is selected as my audio options, then nobody's going to be able to hear me. I can't hear anyone. So if you ever join a meeting and you can't hear or they can't hear you, most likely you just have to click here on settings, click here audio, and then computer, and then choose this. So this is my headset that I'm wearing right here. So I have that chosen as my audio options. Now this will remember your options. So whenever I join a Goto meeting, it's always going to be this as default. Now sometimes this runs out of batteries, and so I'll just come in here, change the settings, and say, hey, use my built-in microphone in my computer. And I would just change to that. If I didn't have any audio options on my computer, I would click phone call. Now I'm not going to click it because then you're going to lose my audio and you won't be able to hear me. But if I were to click that, then you'd see a phone number to dial in, a phone number, an access code, and a PIN. The access code gets you into this meeting, and the PIN attaches it to you so that I could still be seeing my screen. Or let's say I've got a camera but no audio, then it will still connect my audio to me instead of having me show up in the meeting as two different people. And then you've got your options here for your video. So you can do something like background blur if I want people not to see my background, or I could do like a green screen background. So if I want to just show that, hey, I'm just hanging out on a beach, it's pretty obvious. People can kind of tell that that's not really on a beach, but it gives you those options. And the nice thing is you can do a custom background. So you can upload any of your own custom backgrounds that you want to have right there. If you want to look like you're in a conference room, or put an American flag as your background, whatever you want to do, you can actually do that with those custom backgrounds. And then I've got these session options as well. And I can just change things how I want. So by default, you're going to get a little ding every time somebody joins or leaves the meeting. A lot of people like to have that because when somebody joins, they want to know, like, oh, somebody just joined my meeting. But if that's getting annoying, where during the call, everyone's like ding, 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 every time somebody leaves and enters, you can just turn that off. And you can say, hey, I don't want that sound to be there anymore. You can also allow the chat, or you can just turn that off. You say, I don't want people like, typing and chatting to each other, or you can just say, hey, only the organizer. So I can post something in the chat, but I don't have 200 people in the chat doing things like that. You can make it so that the attendees can see the list of who everyone else that's on the call, or you can turn that off so that they can't see that. You can allow hand raising, show who's talking, just a couple different options that you have there. So that I think is everything. Brent, anything that you can think of that we have not covered that we should cover?
No, we've covered messaging, we've covered phone calls, we've covered how to set up meetings, how to join them, how guests will behave when they try to join. We've gone over the settings and permissions for the meetings.
Okay.
No, I feel as though if there's any other concerns, we can definitely address them in a separate segment.
Okay, perfect. Last two things I thought of. Well, I guess three things maybe that we could do. So here's the record button. I mentioned that earlier. There's also a react button. That's something that can be very useful because it can help with audience participation. So one is reaction, is you just say, hey, tell me how you're feeling about this. Do you like the idea with a thumbs up, or you don't like the idea with a thumbs down? That could give somebody like a really quick, like, thumbs up, thumbs down. The other thing is hand raise. you could say raise your hand. Now the nice thing about hand raise, the reaction, if somebody gives a thumbs up, it pops up on the screen and then it goes away. So if you got 200 people thumbs upping, it's like boom, 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 it kind of goes really quick. But the hand raise goes up and it stays there. So I could see how many people have their hand raised, and that's something that's really useful if you're doing a Q&A near the end. You could even use this for like voting, like hey, who agrees with this? Raise your hand, and then you can see the list. Okay, 50 people out of the 200 on the call have their hand raised, and then I can just lower all the hands. But I can
It's a
also
fair
use it for
point.
a Q&A, and you can say, hey, raise your hand if you have a question, and then you can address the questions in order. Now you can have it so that the attendees cannot take themselves off of mute, which might be something I recommend if you've got 200 people on there. But if you see their hand is raised, you can go and manually unmute them. So that's something that is nice to have. Then the
Um,
next thing, yeah, go ahead.
is there a way to set moderator privileges for other people in the meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can come over here to my attendees list, and let's say I've got Brent right here. I can give him remote control, which he takes over my computer. I probably don't want to give him that, but I can make him the organizer. And now he's the organizer, which means he can do all the same things that I could do. He can mute and unmute people. I could even leave the meeting and he can continue to run the meeting. He can turn on the call recording, turn off the call recording. Anything that you would want to do yourself, you can allow somebody else to do that. Um, You can allow somebody to be presenter as well if you just want them to be able to share their screen but not control the whole meeting. You can just give them those rights. Uh, and you could just mute somebody or just excuse them from the meeting. If somebody's being, disruptive to the meeting, you could actually just boom, kick them right out. And I won't do that to Brent.
Fair enough. I appreciate that.
Okay. Two last things. Show tools. We have a whiteboard integration. If that's something that's ever important to you, to have like whiteboarding, that's just something that's built right in. So if you want to be able to pull up and draw something in real time, if you're kind of brainstorming on something and you want to be able to draw some things out, then you can do that. And you can see Brent has options to draw as well, and I could take that away from him. You can do shapes. If you want to have something specific, you can kind of you can add sticky notes or build out a flow chart, whatever you want to do. Freehand write, erase, comment. So that's something that's nice as well if that's ever relevant to you. I just wanted to show you that. And then let's see if I can figure out how to turn off the whiteboard. I don't use the whiteboarding very often, but for education, people use that pretty often. And then last thing I'll show you is this right over here, closed captions. That can be something that's really, really useful. If you've got somebody that's hearing impaired, you can turn on the live closed captioning. So once you have that on, then people will actually be able to see that, or people can turn that on themselves. So it's not me turning it on for everyone. Each individual can turn that on themselves. And as you can see here at the bottom of my screen, the text of everything that I'm saying is now showing up at the bottom of the screen here.
Very handy. And it can also differentiate who's talking at one time.
Yep, yep. All right. Well, then that I think is everything that I would want to share.
A great overview of the product. I appreciate it, Tony.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and end the recording now.